Hello, everybody. I'm Avishai, and welcome to another episode of What Israel Is. I'm gonna do a more newsy episode today, wherein I bring kind of a news update about things going on in Israel. So I'll begin with yesterday. Yesterday morning was a terrorist attack, which, if the roles were reversed, might have spelled all out war, um, with maybe neighboring Muslim countries attacking Israel. Essentially, what happened was that three um, Israeli Palestinians, meaning or Arab Israelis, or however you'd like to call them, that is, uh, Arab people who possess an Israeli ID, from the town of al Fahim. They came to the Temple Mount, to where to the mosque of Al Aqsa, and there they picked up uh, weapons that were stashed at the site of Al Aqsa, and they opened fire on on more than on policemen, but they actually hit three. Two were killed, and the three Arab people, all of them, by the way, belonging to the same family, um, were shot dead. Now, by the way, the Israeli policemen themselves, were not Jewish Israelis. They were Druze, Arab-speaking minority that live in Israel primarily, and they have their own distinct religion, and their own their uh, faith's prophet is Yitro, the father-in-law of Moses. And anyway, um, I'll re I'll kind of try and reinstate what essentially happened there. These people uh, came with the intent of shedding blood on what is Judaism's holiest sites and what is Islam's third holiest site, and the most important site to the Palestinian resistance movement. Anyway, for religiously minded folk, this is holy ground, and they committed murder on this holy ground. Following this, the Temple Mount was completely shut down to all visitors, and police force were combing the area for additional stashes like the one these people from al Fahim picked up. Um, there's a different episode that I did about the Temple Mount. Um, Essentially, one thing to know is that the Temple Mount is essentially a Jordanian sovereign land, kinda. It has to do with this kind of an agreement that is between Israel and Jordan, wherein Jordan is essentially responsible for the administration of particularly the area of Al-Aqsa. Okay. Um, The second bit of news, and this is rather interesting, I should say, mostly because of how it coincided with the whole Trump things going on across the ocean. Um, Here too, it seems that the uh, loop is starting to close around the neck. Um, I did an episode about the corruption things that are leveled at Netanyahu and which are under investigation. Um, there have been there has been some resurgence in those cases. So, particularly, I'll go over this quickly as far as the particular cases that are relevant now. Um, First off is Bezek. Bezek is Israel's uh, landline and internet infrastructure monopoly, essentially. Um, and they have been under audit and investigation for all sorts of corruption charges, um, with the CEO of Bezek, who is also a rather a telecom magnate with who also has owns a news site and has his hands in all sorts of other um, ventures. Uh, he's been charged with, and the rest of the heads of Bezek have been charged with striking all sorts of deals that serve their own personal gain and interest. And this is also interesting because um, we know that uh, one of the CEOs, Shaul Elovich, one of his other ventures, Walla, COIL, which is as I said, a news site. It's not just that, but they also have, I believe, they have TV as well. Like they run their have a news channel. Anyways, never mind that. We know that there have been some contacts between Alovich and Netanyahu with regards to positive coverage of Netanyahu, and also that there have been other um, uh, um, relations going between Alovich and Netanyahu. So they seem to be close to some degree or another. Um, and this is something that neither of them disclosed. And also, um, up until rather recently, the Minister of Communications, so the minister in charge of all of the area of telecommunications, was Benjamin Netanyahu. So, additionally, there is a case which I talked about in the previous episode, the one I did back then, titled "BB Underwater," and this is the ThyssenKrupp corruption scandal. Now, I understand that ThyssenKrupp, which is a German company that among other things, apparently manufactures ships and submarines. They have been involved in similar scandals um, in the past, but this one is, we haven't heard about those. So if there's any person who has more knowledge about this, particularly from Germany, and can maybe shed some light on this, I would be glad to hear about it. Um, Essentially, what happened is this: um, Israel, at some point in, I believe, the mid 90s, struck a deal with ThyssenKrupp for the production of submarines. The number specifically, well, it began with one, and then there was an additional deal for a second and a third submarine. This was to be enough, as I understand. Um, at some point, the middleman who worked with ThyssenKrupp, but was supposed to speak for the interests of Israel, was replaced by the Israeli side. And the person who replaced him is a person who is Netanyahu's neighbor. Okay. Who didn't seem at least to have any particular qualifications for the job. But more than that, we then find out that another person working very closely with this neighbor of Netanyahu is Netanyahu's cousin, who is also Netanyahu's lawyer, and also turned out to be ThyssenKrupp's lawyer. Okay. And throughout all of this, Netanyahu has somehow managed to maintain an aura of deniability. So, as far as Bezek goes and as far as ThyssenKrupp goes, Netanyahu didn't know anything, wasn't aware of any corruption going on. It all happened under his nose. Really. Well, I suppose we'll just have to wait and see what comes out of it. I should also say that there are two additional corruption cases, of which I spoke in the earlier episode about Bibi's corruption suspicions. One is that he essentially made deals with a head of a newspaper with the interest of, again, more positive coverage prior to an election. And the second one is with regards to receiving forbidden goods from an American Israeli friend who's a millionaire. So this is it in a nutshell. Again, I don't know what will come out of it, and if Bibi will eventually be indicted for any of this. Possibly not. Many people say probably not, because this is the way our world essentially works. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. This is it for today, and I'll see you guys next week.